This is Loopy Pro. And yes, I might be a little bit behind, but I promise you this is the DAW for 2023. This is the DAW for 2023. Let me show you how I use this amazing app and why you should probably invest in something like this if you're using iOS musicianship. And stick around for the end of the video because you know what? I got some free copies for those who don't have it yet. You know how we do. Let's get into it right now. All right, so what you're looking at is my professional setup for 2023. You have the iPad Mini 6 here, you have the OP1 Field, you have the Teenage Engineering TX6 mixer, you have the CME 37 key keyboard, and you have the Tula microphone, as well as the OB4 from Teenage Engineering. This is all the things that I use on a day-to-day basis to make music. So when you start Loopy Pro, you're going to see that this is set up just like this. All you have are these donuts, right? You have basically 10 donuts that they give you, but it's very, very customizable. Now, I'm not going to go into every specific detail because there's so much to cover in this app. Is actually overwhelming. And for a lot of people, probably like myself, who got the app and tried to figure out how to use it, it kind of seemed like you got lost and you weren't sure exactly what to do when you got started. So here's basically how it gets set up, right? Top left, right, you have this folder icon that shows you, how to start up new projects, how to export projects, how to save projects, all of that, how to import sounds. That's where that's at, right? Of course, you have your transport window with your play and your stop, your undo and redo, right? You have your record button to actually record what you're doing inside of Loopy Pro. And then you have over here, you have all of your settings, right? Down to the left, the bottom left, you have basically your mixer view, right? You have your mixer view where you can add everything from colors, AUV3 plugins, hardware inputs, inter-app audio, MIDIs, and bus. You can bus things, you can group things, you can do a lot with this app, right? As well as it'll probably show up like this. And then if you hit this arrow right here, it'll go into your extended form where you can add, different effects, right? You can add different AUV3 plugins, all of that, right? So this is the mixer window. But on top of that, you actually have the sequencer window as well. So if you like things to be more linear, right, you can literally just plug and play, drag things out, right, and sequence your music that way. There's multiple ways that you can set this thing up. And so you have the mixer window, then you have your sequencer page, and then you have your edit to edit your actual workflow. So right here, you can see that from the start, you have 10 donuts, right? But if I didn't need 10 donuts, you just take those away. If you need more, you can just go ahead and add them, right? But you can add more than just donuts. You can add one shots, right? Just to do one shot at a time, right? You can add, um, you can add little buttons. You can add faders or knobs. You can also add, X, Y kind of transition effects tabs. You can add a beat slicer, and then you can also add text. So you can create anything that you want to do inside this app. Now, I've said all of that and I've said it pretty fast, but I wanted to at least get you to understand the vast idea of how Loopy Pro is set up. It's basically very, very modular to be able to give you the type of DAW that you need for the type of workflow that you're trying to do. So now what you're looking at is basically the template that I have set up for Loopy Pro for myself. It keeps getting updated. The more that I use it, the more that I play around with it and the functions that I need. But what you can see here is that I basically have um, 20 donuts, right? I have green set up for my drums. I have orange set up for my percussions and my hi-hats, fills, and all of that. I have the blue setup for my bass. I have the pink setup for my melodies and things like that. The teal for like voices and sound effects and weird things. And the yellow for like pianos and synths and things of that nature, right? So that's kind of how I have this set up. On the mix window side, I have a lot of AUV3s already plugged in. Let's see here. I have Blocks Wave coming in, which is not loaded right now, so you can't see that. But let me load that up here. And if you have Ableton Links set up, it'll basically sync across both platforms and work in time, no problem. So now I have Blocks Wave running, right? Boom. So you see I have Blocks Wave running. I have, of course, House Mark One. If you haven't, tried my app, there will be a link in the description. But yeah, this is our first app. I keep that on me. That is my Rhodes app, and then I have a Model D for, of course, that synth bass that I love. I have the Ravenscroft piano. I use that all the time. I use the concert preset. Um, Saga Synth has been so fun to use. It's basically like all the Sega Nintendo type sounds, but built in really good patches. Also by Audio Kit Pro. I've been using this a ton for the lead sounds and the weird sounds. It's really fun. And then I also have an app called Tube AU, which basically is a YouTube AUV3 plugin to be able to sample inside of YouTube, right? So I have all of that set up as different plugins that I brought in already, right? And then from the right side, I basically have some plugins that I already have set up for my specific channel. So for my drum channel, I have Knock. Shout out to Decap. This is an amazing app. This is a Knock, a drum kind of beef up type of app that plug in to be able to really get your drum sounding crazy knocking. Of course, I'm using Fact Transient. I've been loving the Fact Transient since I first got it. Um, and I use that on my drums, right? On my percussions, I just have a channel strip. Let's see here. On my basses, sometimes I'll use the haze to widen that out, as well as the fact transient to really give a punch on some of the bass sounds. And sometimes I need a little bit of a ride or a little bit of an EQ, so I'll use the channel strip as well. And so I use that. I love the adverb from Audio Damage. I use that quite a bit for my reverb, and then that's on certain channels. And then on my master bus I just have the mix box with the LA2A, and on this particular track I put a chorus up there as well. So that's what's on my mix window, and that's kind of have all I have. That's how I have all of that set up, right? So as you can see down here at the bottom of the screen, you'll see you have really easy ways to tap into certain sounds. So if I want to go directly to Block's Wave, right, all I had to do is tap that button. It's kind of hard to get back and forth, but that's kind of how I do that, right? Now, I've also set up a template that has koala in there as well. So that's just something that I'm starting to work with as far as like being able to sequence in koala and then drag that sequence directly into Loopy Pro. And I'll show that in a little bit in this video. But let me show you what's left in my template and how I have it set up. Now, on this B side, I have what's, a sampler, and then I have a button that I've programmed. So if I push it, it goes directly to my YouTube app. So if I wanted to sample like some soul samples or something, let's just type in Henny the Business. And this new iPad Mini 6 is arguably my favorite iPad of all time. What's up, y'all? This is Henny. Yeah. Okay, so I've sampled that. iPad Mini 6. And what you'll see is I've already mapped basically this entire sample. Whatever I sample in here, it'll be mapped to these slices. iPad Mini 6 is our favorite iPad. So you get what I'm saying, right? You can sample basically anything from YouTube, chop it in, and then you can play that into a specific loop or a specific donut, right? With Loopy Pro, I can use Bloxwave, right? Bring in sounds that I like, bring in the ideas and things like that. I can record directly to any loop, as either something coming from a hardware device, something come from a synth device, or AUV3 plugin, or something coming from Koala or something like that. You can basically plug in anything as a loop. You can set any donut to a specific amount of bars, length, whatever. And what I truly like is that the first track of any loop that you set in Loopy Pro in a new project, you can play it as best as you want to play it, and it'll determine the tempo. So you don't have to be fixed to thinking, okay, I need to work in 120 beats per minute right now, or 90 beats per minute, or 80 beats per minute, whatever it is, right? You can just start having fun playing. And then when you find a groove and you're finding that out, you can start playing or punching that in, and then it'll find the tempo for you. And then it'll start locking every other donut, right, to that specific tempo. So how I have this set up, this is a track that I did the other day. So I was inspired, feeling like I wanted to get into some like organized noise, vibes, some old 90s East Coast Southern hip hop stuff, right? And so I'm gonna show you exactly what I did, and then I'll talk about how that happened. So I started out with these drums, and it'll start like this. That's basically how I built the track. And so what I've been doing on my Instagram for the last man, almost every day this year so far is to basically show how I'm creating these tracks. Just as a way to start doing a lot more of this content. You'll be seeing a lot more of this in my YouTube shorts coming up very soon. So once I get the drums going, once I get the melodies start to flow, there's multiple things that you can do. You can start editing away, you can start adding effects. And then from there, I could, if I was getting into sequence mode, I could start sequencing and start putting, all of these ideas out. I want these drums to come in here. I want this to come in there, right? Basically, the same way I built it. I could put pieces here and there and everywhere. You can almost, do everything. You can record directly into sequence mode. There's so many capabilities of Loopy Pro that I'm not even mastered just yet, but I wanted to at least kind of give you the overview of why I love this so much. And then from there, right, you can do multiple things, right? You have a track done, right? You can build it up. You can actually record it as the audio just playing how you played it, basically how I just did that. You can record the sequence. If you recorded and did a whole sequence in the sequence window, right? And then there's different ways that you can do the way that it's recorded, right? You can do the combined output, right? You can do individual color groups, you can do individual audio inputs, you can do individual buses, you can do so many things when it comes to making sure you're getting the right recordings for the takes that you have. And then on top of that, right, you have lossless recording or non-lossless recording if you're going to bring this into a bigger, more professional DAW, something like Logic or something in a studio. You can have it all sequenced out. And what I love so much about that is it just makes it very easy to get from an idea creation to a full on production. And then you can either come back here, you can export just the audio clips, you can export just the project file. Anything that you think that you want to do, it can do, right? So if it's like, oh, I want to move green over here, it's so simple, right? If I wanted to, move around the colors or edit things or group things right down here at this bottom, right? You have different ways that add to your production or add to the loopy window, right? You can change the colors of any channel, or you can undo that, right? You can change everything to purple, right? Undo that, or you can group, right? I can take this whole line and say I want to group that. It makes it very simple for you to create the style of production that you need. And then you can bring in all the other apps that work for you. Now, what if you use something like Koala, right? So, my instance for Koala um, is for when I want to do more quantized style drum tracks. and being able to do that. Because I like to, a lot of times keep my drums very loose and very lively. But I know certain genres really need that tempo locked specifically to drum programming. So let's take, for instance, this track, right? So what I'm going to do is, let's see here. I have another track here. I'm going to solo the drums, and I'm going to mute these, right? So I'm going to play this simple drum track that I have in Koala. Um, let's see here. So Koala's already synced, so I just hit the play button here, right? This is a test that I did. So what I did was I recorded that basic simple pattern into Koala, and then if I wanted to record that in, I just hit the button. So once it's done, it's gonna keep playing itself. So you want to make sure that you get out of that sequence. But if there's a glitch, right, you can just swipe to the right and clear and do it again, right? But I've recorded that in already, and that's how I bring it in Koala samples. Like I'm literally just playing it in. With Koala, it's a little bit different because if you're going to start with Koala, you need to probably start with the tempo to make sure that it starts to lock properly. So if you're going to start Koala up, I set it to 130, and then Koala already recognized that it was 130, and then you use this transport and Loopy to control the transport in Koala, and then just do how you normally do Koala, and then you can bring in all of those different sequences or different ideas, drum wise, sample wise, chop wise, whatever, all the way in there. And so I can take Koala drums and then still beef them up, right? I take Koala drums, and then I can add some additional sounds. And so in this template, you might see here that I've named all the drums and all the things. And if you want to figure out how to do that, you literally just swipe up, and swipe up will get your clip settings. And then if you swipe down on the clip settings, you can name every donut. So little things like that just make it so easy for you to get locked in with a template and then just start banging out tracks. So this is the track that I did with the Koala drums, and it's like this. So that's basically how I have certain things set up in Loopy Pro. I've been having a blast with this app because not only can it do the sequencing, not only can it do the looping, it can bring in the AUV3s. You can modulate and make this exactly how you want it, regardless if you're somebody who likes to do things more live, or somebody who likes to do things a little bit more sequence based or loop based. It gives you all the flexibility that you need in 2023. And I'll tell you, man, like this is the app that I've been waiting for. This is the app that's going to allow me get everything done in a quick manner, like I love to do in Blocks Wave, right? It allows me to add the sounds that I love to play with, the AUV3, the plugins, the apps, the different sounds. It allows me to sequence it out, allows me to get the files in and out of this easily. And then from there, take it and compose and produce even further. So that's why I will say there is no better DAW to use in 2023 than Loopy Pro when it comes to your music production needs. And for all of those who have been using other apps, don't feel the need to jump just specifically into this, because Cubasis is still amazing, and they're coming out with amazing updates, right? Beatmaker 3, I think a lot of people have mastered those, right? I think a lot of people are just using Koala by itself, and it's very strong by itself, right? Same with AUM or Blockswave, GarageBand, whatever you're using in iOS, you can get the job done. It's really more about getting into a rhythm than anything. And what I love about Loopy Pro is that if you set the right template, you get it set up properly. It does take a little bit of time to figure out exactly the type of style that you want. But from that point on, you already know you're locked in. And as soon as you lock in and day out, you're going to keep getting better and more ideas are going to flow. So, my challenge to you this year is just to sit down or try to come up with some type of melody, idea, drum composition, whatever, every day. I don't care if you're on the toilet. I don't care if you're sitting at your desk. I don't care if you're at your car. Whatever you're doing, find some time to create every day and see how much more passion comes out of you the more that you build that muscle up. And that's exactly what I'm doing. And that's what I'm going to continue to do. So, with all that being said, this is a longer video, but I had to jump into Loopy Pro and tell everybody why I love this app so much. And it's only getting better. I know there's a 1.1 coming very, very soon with even more additional things that you're going to be able to do. But if you would love a copy of this, please do me a favor. Follow me on Instagram. Follow Tasty Pixel or Loopy Pro on Instagram, or and make sure you subscribe if you really feel this content and the things that I'm trying to do here with my community for all things iOS musicianship, and everything like that. But yeah, that's all you got to do. I'm going to pick some random winners, and we're going to get this year off to an amazing start. I hope everybody is staying safe and staying healthy, and I will catch you in the next one.